Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are going to dig deep, and I mean really deep, into the rich soil of African American folk traditions. We're going to explore the powerful, fascinating world of hoodoo botany, the herbs, the roots, and all the natural curios that are the absolute foundation of a spiritual system born out of incredible resilience and wisdom. And it's so important to get this from the jump. This is not just about spells or magic potions, not at all. As this image of a practitioner's altar reminds us, this is a whole integrated spiritual practice. It's about balance, it's about protection, and it's about moving through the world with the guidance of your ancestors. It really is a way of life. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to lay the groundwork, what root work is all about. Then we'll jump into how different plants are used for cleansing, for protection, for bringing good things your way, and for healing. And then we're going to wrap up with something really crucial: how to approach all this knowledge with the respect it truly deserves. Okay, so let's get our foundations right. You'll hear the words hoodoo and root work used almost interchangeably, and there's a super simple reason for that. It's because the plants, and especially their roots, are absolutely central to everything. I mean, that's where the power is. So what is hoodoo or conjure exactly? Well, it's a uniquely American tradition. It's a spiritual system that was literally forged in history, blending the plant knowledge and beliefs that enslaved Africans carried with them, the herbal wisdom they learned from Native Americans, and even some folk magic from European traditions. It's an incredible testament to adaptation and survival. And at the very heart of it all is this one core spiritual idea. It's the belief in a life force, what the Yoruba people call a she, that flows through everything. This energy is thought to be especially strong, especially potent in certain plants and roots. The whole goal of a root worker is to learn how to tap into that force to create real, tangible change in the world. So let's see how that works in practice. First up, cleansing and protection. Because, before you can bring good things in, you got to clear out all the junk, right? Spiritual cleansing and protection are job number one, and the primary tools for getting it done are botanicals. So you have things like broomcorn, which isn't for physical dirt, but for spiritually sweeping your home clean of negativity. You've got angelica root, sometimes called archangel root, which is used to call in some powerful spiritual protection. You see things like ebony wood used for protective amulets, and wahoo, an herb borrowed from Native American traditions, used specifically to get rid of jinxes or crossed conditions. And this just shows you exactly how it all comes together in real life. This is a Black Hawk altar. You can see the herbs, the candles, all the spiritual tools set up right there in a sacred space in someone's house. This is not some abstract idea. It's a living, breathing practice all about protecting and healing your family. So, once your space is clear and protected, you can start shifting your focus to drawing good stuff into your life. And two of the biggest goals in hoodoo have always been financial stability and, of course, love. And believe me, there's a whole botanical pharmacy for that. Now, what's so cool here is just how specific these ingredients are. For money, you've got cinnamon to draw it in fast. You've got pyrite or fool's gold for luck and fortune. Five-finger grass is for success in anything your hands do, your job, basically. And then for love, sure, there's the classic rosebuds, but you've also got things like orris root and Dutchman's breeches, which are specifically carried or worn to attract a partner. The detail is just amazing. And this number 9, it tells a story. In the classic hoodoo rootwork course, there's a list of 9 basic ingredients you need to make a mojo hand, which is kind of a personal charm bag. Out of those 9 essentials, 5 of them are specifically for drawing either money or love. That just shows you how central those two goals really are. Now, beyond money and love, there's this really deep connection between your physical health, your spiritual well-being, and your own personal power. In rootwork, those things are not separate. The idea is that a strong spirit helps make a healthy body, and you need both to overcome whatever life throws at you. And you simply cannot talk about power in hoodoo without talking about this guy, High John the Conqueror. This root is an absolute legend. It's carried for personal mastery, for strength, for success in, anything, and for just plain overcoming obstacles. It is hands down the most famous and sought-after root in all of hoodoo. And here's a crucial point. This wasn't just about spiritual power. This knowledge was practical. often life-saving medicine. On plantations, where a doctor might be miles away or simply unavailable, this plant wisdom wasn't an alternative, it was the healthcare system. Sassafras was used for a spring tonic to purify the blood. Butterfly root was called pleurisy root because it worked for that, and pennyroyal tea was a go-to for so-called female complaints. This was survival. So, as we've been going through this incredible world of botanical knowledge, it's pretty clear we're talking about a sacred cultural tradition, which means if we want to learn more, it is absolutely vital that we do it with the right mindset and with a ton of respect. And that's the big question, isn't it? How do we do that? For those of us who weren't born into this tradition, how can we engage with it in a way that's ethical, that's supportive, and that honors its history and the people who practice it today? Well, first, you have to understand the history. You have to acknowledge that these practices were born from struggle and resilience. Second, you have to recognize that this is a living tradition, not a museum piece. That means seeking out authentic sources, books and materials from actual practitioners and cultural historians. And finally, if you can, support the culture directly. Buy from Black-owned botanicas and root workers. And a perfect example of its living nature is its adaptability. When people moved from the rural south to cities up north, they couldn't just walk into the yard to get their herbs anymore. So the practice adapted. People found new suppliers, like urban pharmacies that would actually stock the roots and barks they needed to continue the work. It always finds a way. And that really brings us full circle. This botanical knowledge is so much more than just a list of ingredients. This quote from Orion Foxwood just says it perfectly. It's a tradition of deep reflection, of liberating the soul, and of having a real relationship with the spirit world and with your ancestors. And it all begins with a power that's been there all along, just waiting, right there in the root.